Hi, everybody. This is immigration lawyer John Kasravi coming to you live this December 30th, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, where we come every Tuesday live to take your questions about U.S. immigration law for general educational purposes, not intended as individual legal guidance. But I know the complex system that we have for immigration can be very confusing, overwhelming for a lot of people, and for myself at times, especially with all the legal changes that are happening on it's not even day-to-day basis, every like 12 hours with the Trump administration, inconsistency adjudications, and sometimes even breaking the rules. And so this stuff's really scary. We come here just to kind of generally take your questions so you have a better understanding of what's going on, hear us out, hear your thoughts, and see what problems other people are having to hopefully try to make the process a little more palatable and understandable for you and avoid some major mistakes that do come up. Now, we have a lot of videos. Pretty much almost all the questions asked here will be on our YouTube page. If you go to JQK Law YouTube page, you can see it there. We'll have the outline, all that kind of stuff. And we have a lot of guides too. One of us, the most important one, is the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. It goes the A to Z of the immigration process before you even talk with an immigration attorney. You want to read that, review it, so you can ask really good questions from the immigration attorney that you work with. The website for that free download is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, it's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And so that's really important to have that. And we also have a guide called the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide. For that, go to jqklaw.com/citizenship to download it, jqklaw.com/citizenship. And finally, if you did want to schedule a private consultation, go to our website contact page, fill in the box with your information, your name, contact info, as well as a brief synopsis review of your case. So we have an understanding of what you're doing. We don't do every type of case. We don't do asylum. We don't do U visas. So when you tell us that, I can quickly respond and say, we can't help you with that. But if you have a marriage case or, for example, a citizenship case, you're a small investor wanting to start a small business in the United States, things that we do, we'll respond with information about how to schedule a video consultation with you, which is key to avoid fraud. There's a lot of people impersonating me and my firm and a lot of immigration lawyers. We make sure it's a video consultation for now until the AI really messes that up, because at least you're talking with me, a real person, and we can really look each other in the eye in these video sessions and consultations to plan out what's best for your situation. Having said that, let's start the show. We have a question from Southwest. Can an F1 visa holder invest in mutual funds or apps like Kalshi? So Kalshi, I'm not really familiar with if that's considered gambling or not. Allegedly, it's not. I don't know, so I can't comment on Kalshi. But generally, any person can invest in the United States. There's some state laws, for example, in Texas, I think we're not allowing foreign people to own property there. I'm not sure what those regulations are. But for immigration purposes, unauthorized employment is what's the problem that can be problematic for you. If you invest in mutual funds, that's just putting your money to work in that form of fashion. It's not working. Now, if you're actively constantly buying, selling stocks and making a living off that, that'll start to begin to look like working with authorization, which could be problematic. The reality is that this whole online money making kind of stuff, it's new and the laws haven't really caught up, and it's hard to define what these things are. So the main thing is you should try to avoid, what looks like working for a living, and the government could determine it differently what you do. So you want to be more conservative and don't touch it. Investing in a mutual fund or 401k, stuff like that. I'm not sure if 401k works. I think 401ks work really. I'm not sure, but just generally investing is not a problem. I don't know about Kalshi and how that's set up, so I can't really answer that. Plus, Kalshi might have stuff you're investing in that might be problematic, so I want to be mindful of that. You don't want to invest in like a marijuana company or something. I'm not sure if that's allowed yet or not, but there's all sorts of weird stuff. You got to be cautious as a foreign person about all sorts of stuff you wouldn't even think about. And that's the benefit of having a lawyer that you know is working on your case. You can ask these kind of quick questions and get some answers. If they're not too intense, requiring a lot of study, we can quickly answer that. But we can't go too much detail what kind of investment you're doing, plans are on this public forum. So that's as much as I can say here. But thank you for your question. Bristol Gold, another regular, says, hi, sir. Is not having lease utilities together a problem for the I-751 waiver? And is it possible not to get an interview waiver? Is it a problem or not? It depends on your whole picture and the officer that reviews your case as to how much importance that particular person, that officer reviewing a case gives. Some might care, some might not. So it's not really up to us. We want to have as much as possible. And will you have an interview or not? Again, it depends on the officer. I've had cases like yours who do waiver I-751s, have no interview, and some do have interviews. So it's not a fixed thing. It really depends on the person that's going to handle your case. Umar asked, my attorney suggested me I should withdraw my N-400 interview. I don't have a criminal record, but not much proof of a bona fide marriage. Withdrawal leads get flagged. Please advise. If you've already started your case, I'd have to see what's going on. Even if you withdraw, it could be problematic. But Umar, if there's issues as to your marriage, that's something, and they might, we're ready to put you in court. If there's a issue with your marriage, I would definitely, as something I can talk about, it's such a serious thing that I don't want to like just say whether it's good or bad. Schedule a private consultation to get a second and third opinion to see what the issue is, the worries about your relationship are, to want to withdraw a pending F100 case. That's a pretty deep situation. It's pretty weird. So do you really want to talk with you, learn about your previous relationship or your existing relationship, what evidence you have, what your worry is about that. You might have good evidence, in my opinion. So we got to really see what's going on there and decide. It's not something I can answer in this public forum like this. You're saying, please don't apply after 5 years. After 5 years, and okay. So this is 2 case specific. I'd want to talk with you in private. I can't advise on it now to see if your case is strong enough for what the issues are for you to want to withdraw a citizenship case. It's not a typical thing someone would do. Juan asks, hello, sir. Is it quicker for a green card visa if the foreign spouse is married to a natural-born citizen veteran? Not really. There may be rarely some exceptions, but for the most part, no. If it's a veteran, I haven't seen that really make a difference in most cases. All right, let's go to TikTok. If you haven't on TikTok already, please list your question. You ask your questions here, but also like and subscribe and share the feed so other people know that we're taking questions about U.S. immigration law. You're welcome, Duan. Armand says, what is the process of a reentry permit? How much it takes for getting fingerprint stay? Well, for a reentry permit, this is to tell the government ahead of time that you're a green card holder and you're going to have a long absence of maybe up to like 2 years from the United States. Please don't let me lose my green card. I'll tell you ahead of time. That's what they're saying. So how is it? You have to physically be inside the United States when you apply for the fingerprinting for a reentry permit. And you're asking how long it takes to get the fingerprinting point afterwards. It really depends on whatever the government's doing at that time. Typically, it's you'll get the notice after a few weeks, and then for an appointment a month after that. Sometimes you can show up at the location, ask if you do it sooner. They used to allow that before the pandemic. Now that's like some are more strict, some are not. And with regard to how long it takes, again, it varies. Most of the time it's like that, but I've had cases where it takes 3-4 months to get it or 6 months. So you never know. And I'm sure you're trying to time your travel so you can be in the U.S., file for the reentry permit, and then leave and then come back, or leave once you do the fingerprinting appointment. But these issues is how do we know? We don't know. So hopefully it'll be a month and a half, but we can't say for sure. Mandy says, how do I contact your office? We go to our website, jqklaw.com/contact. The best thing to do, even, it's better than calling, but to fill in the information there, jqklaw.com/contact. Bernstico says, is it possible to get detained by ICE due to unauthorized work, which is already forgiven in the first place? Not unless I think it's possible to ICE the way they're doing things, but if you got your green card based on marriage to U.S. citizen and you told them about the unauthorized work and he didn't file, false claim to citizenship, you didn't fill an I-9 saying you're a citizen or do other criminal activity, it wasn't working out like some, criminal place, that shouldn't be a reason for them to hassle you. Morad asks, hi, I'm an I-751 good faith waiver. I also submitted the weed purchase receipts under my ex name. Should it concern me? I have to see. I don't know why you would say that. I mean, are you trying to say the spouse, like, was a marijuana user? Maybe. I mean, I gotta see how the receipts look and how it looks upon you and the documents and stuff like that. I'd have to sit and think about. It's too case specific. I can't advise here, but you gotta be cautious about that kind of stuff. User 23 says, what is the processing time for an I-601 waiver? 2 to 4 years on average. It had to be fast sometimes, but usually without range. Shaq Scotland says, my father had a social security number in 1981. Does it benefit to me now? No, unless he has benefits that you can somehow get. I don't know. That's not an immigration question, though. C. Bravo says, how long are I-601 taking? Same as 601s, 2 to 4 years on average. Derry Patel, good to see you, says, I have applied for I-751 on the basis of a finalized divorce on 12/22/2025. When can I expect an interview to land? You can't really expect anything. 3 months, 3 years, 4 years, who knows? There's no real fixed days for these. You're welcome, Bert. I appreciate it. Coming on the show again. Mom says, how much time at Islamabad consulate if immigrant visa is admin processing? 3 months to 2 years. Brazuka says, is it wise to enlist in the Army Reserve to get your citizenship quicker after just getting LBR? Well, the wisdom to that depends on what you want to do. I mean, it's a big responsibility to join the military. If that's what you want to do, then do it. I wouldn't do it for immigration purposes. I wouldn't say that's wise. But if you feel a need to defend the United States by joining the military, then that's what you do, and you get that added benefit. Say it, and be careful. The Trump administration might change the rules on you so that you might join and not be able to do it. Say it says, sir, what is the time for processing I-485 adjustment of status? So say that question varies a lot. One is the government's just inconsistent, and 2, similar cases. One will take a month, one will take 2 years. But it depends. What is the basis for that? Is it what type of I-130? What type of I-140? Is it diversity visa lottery basis? Is it asylum-based adjustment of status? All these different things at processing times also depends on the location you're at. Also depends on your history. If you have a more complex case, you have inadmissibility issues. So its question is like too vague to be able to answer. And any answer I would have, even with the specifics, is just an estimate that could be completely wrong. Henry says 10-year green card holder, have a dismissed reckless 55 on 35. After taking driving class, can I travel? You run the risk of that coming out of the system being pulled over. I can't advise individually here because I haven't reviewed your documents myself to say you can travel or not, what the problems are. But once you have some arrests and stuff like that in the system, you want to carry the paperwork showing it was fixed and dealt with properly. But I without reviewing documents, I can't give individual legal guidance like that of what's safe and what's not. And under this current administration, they'll still hassle you. Neil Fowler says, any Afghan asylum has been accepted since the incident. I'm worried. I don't handle asylum law at our office, so I don't want to advise on a case type that we just don't accept. Mandeep says, I applied for I-751 with good faith waiver. It will take 1 to 2 years for decision, and my visa will expire in November. What if a decision is pending till November? Do I go back to a country or I should wait here? You should wait here. If you applied for this I-751 waiver, you would have gotten a receipt. If you read your receipt, Mandeep, it does say it's a 48-month extension of your green card. So I'm not sure why you're referencing a visa. You mean your immigrant visa or your green card? That may be what you're thinking. But if you have a green card, 2-year conditional green card, and you're extending it for 10-year, regardless if it's a waiver or not, that receipt notice acts as a 4-year extension of the green card. Green card product says, how much is it for citizenship? It depends on your case. The government fee is $710. Antenna says, what does pending status or green card status? It's ITMM. I'm not sure what the question is. A pending status for green cards, it just means your case is pending. I think that's what you're asking. Noam says, I did an interview on June 16, 2025 for my adjustment of status. Why is it taking so long? Should I be worried? Somebody should be worried, but really you should have a private conversation with an immigration attorney to discuss the nuances of your case to see if there's red flags there that you didn't realize, and to go over, hopefully, we had an immigration lawyer there, but to recap what happened at the interview is potentially a problem. Also, maybe doing a freedom of information request to get your case history to see what's going on there. And really, I don't know what the basis of your adjustment of status case was to see if there's issues with that. So it could be no problem. It could be a severe problem. After 6 months, you really should have talked to the immigration attorney like probably 3-4 months ago. Probably had one at the interview with you. But you need to dive deep to try to have an idea, because if the government has problems, they're going to come back and say you have 30 days to respond, and that's not much time. So you want to be prepared ahead of time and have a relationship with an attorney that can potentially help you in that timeline if it does come up. User 18 says, F1 overstay for 3 years, not getting married to U.S. citizen. Any advice? You got to be careful, especially if you're in San Diego. Although you could, if you had lawful entry and you don't have other inadmissibility issues and the rest of the case is good, they can still pick you up at your interview. ICE could still do that, and they've been doing that in some cases, particularly again in San Diego. Be mindful of that. Have a fun setup for being detained or immigration court. But other than that, download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. It goes through a lot of this. It's at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. The website is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. So it says, hi, how are you? Is I-751 case still waiving interview? It always depends. It was never a full waiver of the interview. It's still possible to have it waived, but it really depends on the case and what the government wants to do. Thank you, Syed, for the rose. I appreciate it. If you haven't already on TikTok, please like and share this feed so we get more people knowing that you could ask questions about U.S. immigration law here. Daji says, I'm here in the USA with the B1, B2 as a tourist visa. I'm planning to file asylum. Would submit it now or wait a while? You should definitely consult with an immigration attorney that does asylum in private as soon as possible. Waiting could have its own issues. User 1 says, American citizen filed I-130 for my Syrian wife in July. Does new law stop petition? It may pause the petition, whatever that means. They're just making things up right now. This pause, we're not really clear what it means or what's going to happen. Bernard says, Zimbabwe on partial ban and then reduce H-1 visa stamp for 3 years to 3 months. Yeah, that's the question there. But thanks for coming on the show. Popcorn says, how to demonstrate the divorce reason for I-751 waiver case. I'm not sure what you mean demonstrate. Like, why is that you're getting divorced? Is there certain problems? You have a personal statement to explain it. You should have a lawyer using it. For the waiver case, y'all really should have immigration attorneys. I know it's expensive, but that's a really tricky case that you don't want to do on your own. but kind of explain the totality of the situation, what the fact patterns were, the history of it. It's your life. You know what happened. You break it down, and so have an understanding that it's a real relationship, and you can see the story of what happened. Antenna says, sorry for the typo. When does pending status green card start? Is it during? Yeah, I mean, it's just as it sounds, pending. So your green card case is at the government's hands. It's pending. That's pending status. It's not really status. The status is pending, but the status is a term for immigration, meaning your status in the United States visa wise. It doesn't have any bearing on that. It doesn't create status. Holly T says, our case has been transferred to the embassy in Nigeria. I'm a U.S. citizen. What does this mean for us? Your case is in embassy in Nigeria, and I'm not sure what stage of the case you are. Did you do direct filing? Did you have an I-130? Is it a national visa center? There's more to it, more information that'd be needed. David says, where did you go to undergrad? I went to UCLA in Southern California. Carlos says, what are your thoughts on flying with advanced parole to get legal entrance for adjustment of status? So it depends on what kind of advanced parole it is. Is it DACA advanced parole? So that's still, people are still doing that. I haven't heard of people having problems yet, but it's nerve-wracking with the way the government's acting with ICE and all that kind of stuff. Mahar says, any action can be taken against pause for info interviews. Potentially, you could sue the government after 120 days for not moving your case forward. We still haven't had that happen because 120 days haven't passed since the ban came. And there's some group lawsuits that are happening. There's a group of law firms. One of those is Greg Siskind. If you look that up, potentially you could join that lawsuit. He says, can I still adjust my status within the U.S. even though I'm a national of the banned countries? We don't know. They'll pause your case until further information. So you can start the case right now, but I'm not sure if they'll approve it yet. I just paused. Hay says, can you apply for citizenship if I'm from the 19 countries? And yes, could I contact you for it? You could apply. You'll get a receipt probably, but I don't know what's going to happen after that. And yes, schedule a consultation, jqqlaw.com/contact, jqqlaw.com/contact. Traka says, with the new payment method, do you know by any chance how long they'll take to process the payment? I haven't used, our firm has been using the credit card system for several years now and usually process it within a day or two after getting the case, but some cases randomly will take weeks sometimes. Kim said, how is it possible for a case to be switched from F2A to F24? F24, I remember the numbers. F2A is a minor child, a green card holder or spouse green card holder. I'm guessing it goes from F2A to F24. Is that adult child? How is it possible? I got to go to details. Let me see what F24 is. We don't really talk about the codes. We have the specific preference categories. That's like what I would know better. F24. I know your green card's a list of this stuff, but there's like a million of these codes. I don't bother learning what there's literally like 500 of these numbers. So F2B, okay, unmarried adult child. So the case just shifts if you aged out. So we got to see, if you aged out, what the situation is. You got to stay single though. Carla Rivas says TPS advanced parole. TPS advanced parole could fix it. We got to talk in person and have a consultation about that because these are risky maneuvers. But TPS is a good status to have. And with the advanced parole, the last time Trump administration and BIA took it away, or I think even the Supreme Court took it away, but they made this like fiction where it's not advanced parole, it's TPS travel permission, and you can potentially use that for adjustment of status. It depends on what you're going to adjust status on. So we got to get into it, and you have to really use the travel permission for a lawful thing, not just for adjustment of status. So we got to go deeper into it at a private session. Holly says, I-130 at NBC, everything accepted, waiting on interview. Okay, so Nigeria has it. They're waiting to schedule an interview, and they take a long time over there. And there's a ban too. Yeah, you're right. Nigeria was added to the ban. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. Hey, can I apply for citizenship? I asked that question. Asim says, hi, sir. My marriage-based case, I-130 approved on interview spot, but I-45 is still pending. Is 14 days. That's not too abnormal. Just wait a little longer. Now, having said that, I haven't reviewed your case. We might have issues. I can't say for sure, but 14 days isn't necessarily a bad thing. I've had cases take a month or two to be approved, so it's not like the end of the world. But if you haven't had a lawyer, you might have one to review it, see what's going on, and catch stuff they can fix ahead of time. David Trans, I'm going to LMU Law. Go Lions. Well, congratulations. That's where I went to law school. God bless and best of luck. Kim says, my case was switched from F2A F24. How was that possible? Because you aged out. Popcorn says, what are the chances to get approved by immigration judge if U.S. officer deny green card? There's no way I can answer that. Like, I have no information. I don't know. You didn't say why you were denied and why you could combat it. Immigration court, we don't know what avenues for relief you may have in immigration court. So the question itself is just not really helpful. It's just saying like, the doctor says I'm not doing well. I might die tomorrow. And I'm like, well, how do we fix it? I'm like, I don't know. I have no. Why is he saying you're gonna die tomorrow? Kind of thing. So, Popcorn, this is really, you should have an immigration private, especially if you got immigration court, you're going to judge. Like, no need to come on a live show like this. You have to have your lawyer in private. This show can't help you. This is just for more benign stuff and that they could quickly answer. And with better worded questions, have more information. Ginger says, is it better to get legal help for filing an I-129 form? Yes. I've seen people mess this stuff up so ridiculously. Let's just give you I-129F is for a fiance visa. 99% of the time, doing a fiance visa is a bad idea. That just right off the bat. So yeah, that saves you right there. I-129F, fiance visa form, the embassy could deny your case without even doing anything. They could just wait and not give you an answer, and the I-129F form approval time 4 months expires, and then you're denied. I just had a person consult with me that did that. Secondly, if you're married, you get the green card as soon as you enter the United States. But now I-129F, if you come, you get married, then you got to apply for a green card, have to deal with more government fees and more officers judging you and potentially an interview, all this kind of stuff. So in the only rare cases do I recommend 1 out of 100 times someone do a fiance visa, and that's just the start of it. For the fiance visa, they also go into petitioners, personal history, criminal history. With the I-130, the marriage case, they don't. And then the foreign spouse, depending on how they met, could be problematic. If they met through the Immigration Marriage Brokers Act, that means like they use a website for getting married or a person hooked you up. If you didn't do that paperwork properly, they could deny your case. A lot of people don't send the personal statement in that they need to. So there's a lot of issues. So you definitely, I recommend having an immigration law. Just the stuff I said right there could save you a lot of money and hassle. And there's always more. ABS says, hi, USCI is still issuing marriage-based green cards for people from Burkina Faso. I think Burkina Faso, I don't have any clients from Burkina Faso, so I don't know. I think they're added to the list, trial ban list, but if they are, no. It depends on what part of the list. I don't remember the exact country, so I usually deal with Iran or Venezuela. Those are the ones I have my eye on, Yemen. But if Burkina Faso is added to the list, then it's paused. Jessica says, is this safe to travel internationally with a misdemeanor DUI? I can't give individual legal guidance. I haven't looked at your paperwork for the DUI, your conviction record, what you did afterwards, how long ago it was, if you have other issues that exist, potential green card issues, misrepresentation issues, false claim to citizenship. Without reviewing everything, I can't tell somebody if it's safe to travel or not. Even if it was safe, the government can make mistakes. So it's really, at the end of the day, even if your documents all together, which I haven't reviewed, it's a risk you have to take on if you want to take international travel, if you feel like dealing with that. So, Holly, if you look at the trial ban language that President Trump updated, a partial trial ban essentially says they're not giving immigrant visas to Nigerians right now. I always have Nigerian cases. Last Nigerian case I finished before this ban came, so I haven't read exactly how it applies to Nigerians yet. But I think they're not able to get immigrant visas, unfortunately. So your case will be stuck. The Gray says, my wife's from Afghanistan, has to file removal conditions. Will she get an extension? Yeah, they should give her an extension when you file it with the receipt. How long it's going to take to be approved, I don't know, because I think they'll come within the pause. Honey says, my EAD card was approved for over a month, but I didn't get it. Call USCIS to see if it was sent, what address it was sent to, follow up on that. Kim says, everything can be done, seeing that my age was phased out, F2A F2B. I got to check to see if you were probably aged out, but if not, then that is what it is. I have to see exactly what happened, though. Your I-130 priority date, the birth certificates, we got to analyze what happened to see if it was proper or not. And if it was, then it is what it is. You locked that. You're fortunate. Ginger says, so it's better to get married first. So, Ginger, I have a guide on this on a video. If you go to YouTube and type in JQK Law, fiance visa versus marriage visa, I go through like 10 different points. It's more than that I forgot to mention. It should be like 12 or 13. And you could judge for yourself based on reading that and then schedule a consultation so we could talk about it. Because it really depends on your personal need. Some people have no relationship history. So okay, maybe you have to do a fiance visa because you don't know each other. But again, 99% of the time, marriage is better. You just might be that 1%. I can't say because I don't know you and I haven't discussed your case with you. That's why you should definitely download my guide first. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, download that guide, read it, and then schedule a private consultation. Now, being says, how is the I-751 taking? Anywhere from 6 months to 4 years. That means that I-751 joint now separated. What to do? You need to watch my videos on YouTube on I-751 waivers. I have 2 or 3 detailed videos on this, and then schedule a private consultation. It's a serious situation when you have I-751 pending and you get divorced or getting divorced. It creates a lot of unnecessary hassles. The government has designed the system terribly, so you have to deal with that and think about and plan and strategize ahead of time. If you haven't already, please press the like button on TikTok. Usually we get a couple thousand, and this is 25 minutes. We only got 101 hearts and likes, so that's pretty crazy. AQSA says, what's about going to Canada with expired green card extension letter? So as long as you don't have other issues, it's usually fine. That I can't give individual legal guidance here about how your travel will work out. ABS says, yes, it's one of the new 7 countries. Okay. What's the cost for consultation? Kim, it depends on what kind of case you have. For marriage green card cases, we give a discount because that's our main kind of case that we handle it. So, but we don't give out prices here because it changes. The New Year's coming, it might even go up. So we want to schedule a consultation as soon as possible. Frieza says, can you be detained by ICE with pending asylum and valid AD? Unfortunately, yes, and they are doing that to people. It's a pretty terrible experience to go through, even if you have a case pending. Oh no, I forgot to look at Instagram. Let's see if you had some questions over there. Okay, no, actually we do. Okay, no, that's okay. So, all right. Mandeep, I answered. Okay, I applied for I-751 good faith waiver. It will take 1 or 2 years for decision, and my visa will expire in November. Oh, we answered your question. Your receipt should take care of you. String says, "Our asylum green card holder, can I travel to any without any issue?" Well, first of all, if you're a asylum green card holder, you're not supposed to use your passport from your home country, so you have to get a refugee travel document. And not every country will allow you to use that as a passport. You might need to get visas from different countries. And you should not go to the home country you declared asylum from. And also, we got to analyze whether your asylum case is strong or not. If they want to reopen it, analyze. That's what they're doing right now. So, you really need to have an immigration that knows your case, your background, your issues, all that kind of stuff, like an individual. And that's why it's so important to have a lawyer that knows your case, knows you to talk with you about these individualized circumstances, because under the current administration, they're cracking down on asylum and looking into cases that recently got asylum. And so you really need to think this out fully. Kim says, family immigration consultation costs. I want to talk about my age being phased out. Well, please schedule a consultation through our website and I'll fill you in there. We don't talk about costs, fees, and stuff like that during this live show. jqklaw.com/contact is jqklaw.com/contact. And on YouTube, we have a video. It's called the Child Status Protection Act and stuff like how to analyze CISPA. Check that video out. It potentially be helpful as well. But if you want to schedule a consultation, anyone does, go to our website, jqklaw.com/contact. And also download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Having said that, we're about to call the show down or end it pretty soon. If anyone has a last question or two, please let me know. We're going to call it a day. It's been 27 minutes. We have a couple more minutes, but so much to talk about the immigration. I could do it, but I'd rather answer questions as they pop up. That's what I love doing here, rather than just going through immigration law and how depressing it is right now. So you have to go through the immigration process for clients with the travel bans, the increases in fees, the changes on a whim, and in 2026 is going to be a wild year. ICE is definitely going to be increasing. Their budget's already increasing, and so it's going to be a wild time. I accidentally invited somebody to come on the show. I didn't mean to do that, so I don't even know how to get it off. Disconnect. Yes. I don't like to have people come live on the show because they may say some private stuff about their lives that's going to be on the record, and so I wouldn't want that to happen and create problems for you. It's best to have these kind of conversations in a private session. Cutest says, hi, can you say how long USCIS is taking for the I-601 waiver? Yes, I've said it multiple times in the show. Anywhere from 6 months, a year, to most likely 2 to 4 years is how long they're taking to approve these waivers. Unfortunately, it takes a long time. And while it's pending, typically ICE would not come after you historically, but now in the Trump administration, they randomly do pick up people with even approved 601 waivers waiting for their I-601A waivers, waiting for their interview, or even 601 waivers waiting for decision. It's a pretty nasty situation. If you have an interview scheduled, for example, and your waiver is not approved, and your I-485 is not approvable, then you're going to be out of luck. You're going to have to deal with ICE and all that kind of stuff. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again. A lot of watchers. I appreciate it. We'll be back again next Tuesday. And I wanted to wish everybody a happy new year. Thank you, everyone, for supporting our firm, coming on the show. I had a consultation yesterday with a great gentleman. I was talking about like how you're watching the show and any questions. Popcorn says, respectfully, your consultation is very high. Good information, good guidance. An attorney who cares can be very expensive, and it's all relative. And so definitely contact other immigration attorneys that can help you with your case. Having said that, God bless, be safe in the new year, and I'll see you all next year. Bye-bye.